Jenny-Jaymes and our sidekick Christian Cano, partner in crime, is coming up next.
Hey everyone, I'm Jen's sidekick. Welcome to Two Queers in a Truck. Hi y'all.
See you soon. Hello. Good morning. It is Two Queers in a Truck time, and this is take two. We tried it once, and it was probably on my end freezing up a little bit. But anyway, we are ready and raring to go, and we have a packed show of good stuff. So we'll jump right into it. One of the big things, and it's been a really cool election in Poland. So their Conservative Party lost its majority in their parliament, and so for the first time in 8 years, this party will not be the ruling deal. They are a very anti-abortion, very conservative, very anti-LGBT, held up LGBT rights since 2015, and Poland's been moving more and more progressive as a country. And I think this election here in 2023, this week or last week, by the time you're seeing this, has definitely showing how rapidly changing Europe is and rejecting, except for maybe Great Britain, which is right now embracing a little bit of fascism. But a lot of the other countries have moved very progressive, and it looks like Poland's fallen suit and rejecting authoritarianism and that sort of thing. The big news, if you're LGBT or progressive at all and you live in Poland, it's been some tough years, for that very regressive, very authoritarian parliament. They've not allowed any deals on marriage equality or transition. Most of that stuff is still illegal there. So I think you're going to see a very younger, more progressive Poland. I think you're going to start seeing a lot of changes. Many of the countries in Europe have skewed more and more youthful. You're seeing a lot of progressive movements in France. You're seeing a lot of them. Germany's been progressive for a while, but you're starting to see that embracement of democracy and embracement of human rights and civil rights. You're seeing big changes in Finland and places like that that have been a little, conservative, maybe not anti-LGBT, but are starting to move and realize, hey, if we don't watch out, countries like Russia are going to cause problems in our country if we don't stay watchful, if we don't stay progressive. And honestly, the United States could learn a lot from a lot of the countries in the EU, or not even necessarily in the EU, but moving towards EU-type progressive democracies, and not have these outside influences trying to bring fascism back and bring back authoritarianism and things of that nature. And one of the big reasons why we're defending the Ukraine and helping out is we just don't want to see that encroachment and bring back Cold War politics back into Europe. There's just no reason for it. And I don't know what your thoughts are, if you even saw that in the news today, but it was.
Yeah, I'm glad you explained it, Jenny, because I saw it. I didn't really understand what was going on. So thank you for digging into and having it one of your topics, because I wasn't aware of that. I knew that some of the elections in Europe were trending more progressive, which is almost a little bit of it's nice to see, because they're older countries and their democracies are, even though I'm glad to see that those are changing like that, because it means that their youth vote is kind of aligning with our youth vote, which means that it almost gives you hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the American politics has decidedly become more and more progressive, and that's why you're seeing such a fascist and authoritarian pushback. Is that they know that their days are numbered. They know their voting bloc is literally shrinking by the day, and so you can see it. You can see it in desperation. You can see it in the gerrymandering and the different states, the red states that are trying to pass laws to make it harder to vote. They are desperate and fighting for a shrinking piece of the map. And instead of embracing ideas like freedom and democracy and all that, they're running away from it. As we're seeing, the House of Representatives melt down with the Republican infighting and the unprofessionalism of the Republican Party, and not even be able to do the simplest things and the simplest functions of their job, like passing a budget and keeping a Speaker of the House in the seat, and literally in less than a year, they're going to be on their second Speaker by the time they fool around and actually get somebody elected again.
Yeah.
Even though they should just elect Hakeem Jeffries and call it good, he seems like he'd be the only adult in the room, and even though he's a Democrat, honestly, Hakeem is fairly moderate. He'd be a good manager for the House of Representatives, and I think the few common sense Republicans are left, and there's not many in the House of Representatives, but I think there's enough that says, we don't want the Kevin McCarthy's and the Jim Jordans representing us. They're nowhere near what our value system is. And a value system doesn't have to be political. It doesn't have to be religious. It can be just common sense things like, I don't know, doing your job, doing what what you got sent to Washington for, which was to be the upper management of our country, and leave some of this nuttiness and all that for states and local elections to say, hey, we need to be the adults in the room. A little bit of bad news for the LGBT community. The 2022 FBI crime stats came out for last year. They've compiled them, and hate crimes against the LGBT community have gone up drastically, along hate crimes against gay and lesbians went up 13.8% in hate crime, a double-digit increase. Even scarier, hate crimes against gender diverse people like myself, it's gone up 32.9% in hate crimes last year. That's both numbers are massive numbers when you're talking about the scale and the amount of hate crimes that were done. And basically crimes that were specifically done, violent crimes done because they were in the LGBT community. It's a little worrying. It's considering we have the fascists are running again in 2024, and this started trending up, honestly, since the era of Trump began. In many years, we've had 7, 8, 9, 10% growth in hate in anti-LGBT violence. I don't think we've ever seen a 32% jump against trans people. And living in a city that's the second most dangerous city in America for trans people is not necessarily. When I read it, it was got a little lump in the throat. I'm not gonna lie. It's because of the rhetoric. It's the rhetoric of the MTGs and the Jim Jordans and this crazy hate bills that are being proposed all over the country. And when people see that, and it's usually very, very stupid people who do these hate crimes, these aren't coming from our best and brightest. These are coming from, douchebag Proud Boys and morons that just aren't. They're typical MAGA voters. They're the typical people that are low information, low intelligent, poverty-stricken, typically just stupid idiots that go, hey, if it's okay to hate them and it's okay to exclude them, we might as well just hurt them. And, and because we've been demonized and treated like less than humans since, Trump has rose up and used hate and fear porn as their operating system to just scare the crap out of really dumb people that vote for Republicans. And your lowest of your lows in our society. And when you stir this pot, it gets these kind of results. It's just like blatant racism, and saying racism doesn't exist and denying white privilege exists. You're just stirring the pot. You're stirring the pot to whip up a base that's all a bunch of dipshits and inbreeds and cousin fuckers. And this is the results, is scaring people for no reason. It's not like you can catch the scabies. It's not like this is contagious. We're not, they ought to be more scared of other things that are contagious and not worry about LGBT people. We're not going to turn your kid gay. We don't have that kind of power. Kind of wish we did, it shut some of them up. But, it's very bizarre how much credit they give us and how powerful they think we are when we're a very small part of the population. We're less than, some people, debate, the genderqueer part of the LGBT deal is bigger than it is because of all the non-binary and all the gender diverse people. But most people agree, we may be, I don't even think we're 10% of the population in total. That's everybody under the rainbow. And, if 1 out of 10 Americans is in the community, that's a small part of the American population. It'd still only be about the population of Texas. And so, it's just weird how straight people just lather themselves up about what other people do in their bedroom or who they present to be. It's like, why are you so worked up about your neighbor being gay? Like, what does it matter? Because like, I don't care if you go to tractor pools or family reunions to pick up women. It's like, why, or eat 5 pounds of beef jerky a day. I don't care what you do as long as you're not hurting anybody. It's like, it's none of your business though. And the fact that there's nothing wrong with being gay or trans. It's none of your business. I don't ask you to be. I don't want you to be gay. I don't want any idiot Proud Boys being gay. They're too dumb to be gay. But, anyway, it's just one of those weird things. And there's so many lies said about our community. It just kind of gets old when you see a stat like this. But we'll be back with some more Two Queers in the Truck. Hey guys, I've got a special product out, and we've got a store under the name blueappliedtech.com. And you can go on our Etsy store, you can go on our social media, and you can check out our merchandise. We have some amazing snowflake Trump mugshot ornaments. We have mugs, we have pillow covers. We have a lot of cute stuff for the holiday season that you can buy. And it's great fun, and it goes to a good cause. It goes to my company, and it's helping us out getting started. And also, who doesn't want a historic snowflake Trump ornament?
Exactly.
Here,
that's funny. What's the name of it again?
And the name of the company is Blue, like the color blue, applied APPLIED Tech, like technology.
Blue Applied Tech. Ah, cool.
And so you can look us up. We have a website, but our store is on Etsy, and a lot of people use Etsy for different types of great gifts. They are assembled in the United States, so it creates American jobs. And most of all, it's a lot of fun, and they're not expensive. Cool. So,
Blue Applied Tech. Got it.
Correct. Come seek us out and buy some gifts.
Cool.
Hey, everybody, you can catch us on your favorite audio podcast platform, Spotify, Apple Store, the Google machine, and whoever else does podcasts. We're on there. We broke in, and we're staying. So enjoy the Two Queers of Tribe on your favorite audio podcast platform. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye. Happy Pride. But I've never understood bigotry. I've never understood why you would hate somebody for something they can't change. Whether they're black, whether they're brown, whether they're Asian, whether they're indigenous, whether they're gay, lesbian, trans, whether they're whatever they are, what they were born as, and whatever they come to know and identify as. What does it matter if it's not hurting you? You know, and just, it's very bizarre. But this is an interesting story, and I kind of talked about it a little bit on the coffee show. And there is a parent group that is a counter group to Fighting Moms for Liberty. They exist in Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I know where that's
14 Bucks County.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like deer buck, and they call themselves the Ridge Network, and there's 1,400 parents that are involved with this group, and they're a Facebook group. They organized on Facebook, and they go to the local school district board meetings and things of that nature, and they're fighting against the Moms for Liberty group and pushing back on misinformation, getting aggressive in meetings, and they're packing the house, and they're fighting fire with fire, and they're coming straight at them. They're not scared of these Nazis, and they are out fighting the terrorists head on. They're like, yeah, we're not going to negotiate with terrorists. We're going to come right at them. And so many local parent groups have been afraid to do this, and these people said, we're tough old Pennsylvania folks. We're the Keystone State. We're going to go in and we're going to fight fire with fire. And I love seeing it. I love seeing people stand up for minorities and affected groups and LGBT kids and all this. I think they're going to be the case study for how to fight Moms for Liberty, and parents and family members and loved ones of students in school districts around the country need to take note. They need to really see this, because they got a few down low Moms for Liberty candidates got voted onto the school board, and they realized they'd made a mistake, and they realized fascism was coming to their schools, and they decided they're now fighting back, and they're now lighting a fire under those school board members that are being fascists. They're lighting a fire under the local Moms for Liberty psychopaths and sociopaths, and they are just not having it. And they're organized, and they're fighting. And honestly, that's what Charlotte and Mecklenburg County, we don't need to be nice about this. We need to come right at Moms for Liberty, and we need to be organized. We need to be smart. We need to not pull any punches with our language and motherfuck them and roll them and treat them like the trash that they are. And because they're nothing but Nazi Hitler quoting trash, and they can fucking try to walk back all their bullshit. Nah. There's enough receipts. There's enough evidence to go, these people need to become obsolete. And you can't do it by just looking the other way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the 1930s Germany learned, when you let fascists and authoritarian figures test things out and you push it like Hitler did in his early days, you just got to realize January 6th was more, if it was anything, it was just a test run to see what they could get away with.
Yeah.
And if you look the other way, they ain't going to go anywhere until you push back, until you bury them, until you say enough is enough and we fight back. And if we think we can soft shoe fascists.
Mhm.
There's a reason why Germany passed all the strict laws about anti-fascism after World War II. They're like, okay,
Yeah.
we screwed up once, but we ain't going to do this again, and we're going to make sure we don't fall in that trap. And they haven't since then. And they've become one of the most progressive, one of the smartest, one of the most accepting countries on earth. And you're seeing how people can rewrite their histories, and rewrite, what was an awful genocidal Holocaust, horrific piece of world history that should not be repeated. We should not ignore things like this. And it can happen here. It can happen here if we go asleep at the wheel and we allow evil, idiotic people take over schools and influence children for decades to come and hurt kids that shouldn't be hurt. And in authoritarianism and religiosity and trying to promote privatizing schools is something we don't need in this democracy, in this country. And it's only going to hurt the most disadvantaged people. This is another version of white supremacy at its scariest, and especially with racial minorities like African American students. I think it kind of ties in with the hate crime statistics. Is the right's always good at fear porn, always good at creating false fears. And we've got to counteract that. We just got to say that's bullshit. We got to hold when these people get up on the different TV interviews. We got to be there too and say, nah, you need to prove that. You need to back that up. You need to show me police statistics where LGBT community is actually dangerous, because I only find that LGBT people get targeted. But we're not going out. LGBT people aren't setting up some kind of rainbow berets. We're not going after Proud Boys and Moms for Liberty and stalking people and giving out, addresses saying target people's homes. You're just not seeing that from the left, like they claim we're doing. And it's really them doing it. It's really them projecting their own fuckery. Well, I love seeing this out of Pennsylvania. Also, more news out of for our fourth segment. We're still going to stay in the state of Pennsylvania. Philadelphia has become the latest in the sanctuary cities for transgender people, especially transgender kids that are losing their health care and their gender affirming care in states. The mayor of Philadelphia, Jim Kenney, is already set to sign off on declaring Philadelphia as a sanctuary safe haven, where they can get gender care. Local officials will protect people that flee those states in case they try to come after them for child abuse or any kind of other false charges. And actually, over 14 states have passed those kind of deals. 3 more are considering it by executive order, including states like Kansas. And Kansas City has decided to protect trans kids. There is some very moderate states that are even still trying to protect trans kids. So you're seeing a pushback against this authoritarian move to wipe out trans kids and trans people in general. And I love it. I love the fact that it's pretty much all Democrats, and they're saying, no, this doesn't need to happen. This is not part of America. And just like we saw in Poland this week, just like we saw in Bucks County in Pennsylvania, just like we're seeing in other parts of the country, where people are fighting for the LGBT community, especially for trans kids that are the most vulnerable and the most under attack. And, we had the crappy state of Arkansas that kind of kicked this all off with their idiot governor, a couple of years ago. And it's just become one of the latest hair on fire bullshit issues that has just grown into more and more compounded lies. And people are just getting tired of it. People are starting to stand up and It's about time. And what I want to see is Democrats taking a hard line against this kind of thing, because typically, and we saw this in Poland as well, we've seen this in other parts of the country, the people that are trying to take away abortion are the same people that are trying to take away, kids' access to gender affirming care. And it's kind of the same person. And, then they'll go after, marriage equality, then they'll go back and they're going to methodically, if you let them do that, you set yourself up to be the next person in line to lose your civil rights and human rights too. And people need to wake up and go, and not accept the line, well, it's not really my fight. I'm not trans. Well, no, it is your fight. You need to, you have a responsibility to protect the most vulnerable in society. And if you're not willing to do that, honestly, you're not really a Democrat. You're not really a progressive. You're honestly a coward. You're a political coward. And it'd be like me looking the other way, and when they're attacking Black Lives Matter. It'd be like me looking the other way and not willing to march with BLM and allow them to not be anti-racist. As a person that has a white privilege, it's my obligation to help end racism just as much as it is to end bigotry against the LGBT community. And it's all our fight. We're obligated to protect our neighbors. We're obligated to do the right thing. And that's how you keep democracy alive, and that's how you keep dictators like Putin and Hitler and Mussolini and so many others from taking over the world. You make that choice every day. You either fight that fight or you be a coward. But there's no in between. If you look the other way, you're as guilty as the people doing the crimes against humanity. And we should have learned these lessons a long time ago, but apparently we need to be reminded. But I like seeing that parents and public officials are saying, we got to fight against this. This is not good. This is not healthy for a society. And it's the only way we're going to keep our political party alive, and it's the only way we're going to keep being able to push in the future. But we're up against our second break already, and we'll come back with some more Two Queers in a Truck.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for watching us on Two Queers in a Truck. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime at your leisure on our video podcast platforms like Facebook and YouTube. But you can also listen to us, either this show or any of our past shows, on our audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and all of the other ones. So once again, thank you for watching Two Queers in a Truck. I hope you enjoy our show.
And we are back. This one's a little bit funnier. There is some TikToks and some Instagram reels that are like they've had the lines about boy math and girl math and all that. And now there is a TikTok that's circulating around that's called gay math. And gay math is that if a gay male is in a relationship for a month, it equals 5 years of a straight couple. If it's a lesbian, 1 month equals to 1 month, plus they've already bought a cat. They've already adopted a cat in the first month. And I thought it was pretty funny. And I thought it was, it's kind of LGBT people kind of poking fun at the different identities and having a little fun with it. It's very tongue-in-cheek. It's basically saying that gay males usually don't stay in couples very long, and lesbians pretty much mate for life. They're already buying a U-Haul and adopting a cat in the first 30 days. But I think it's one of the funner sides of the TikTok and Instagram world is that they're making little videos like that and calling it gay math. It cracked me up when I saw the article. I think some of the lighter side of the news today, and I see it was on, I think, on the LGBTQ news or Pink News. I can't remember which one. Um, I don't know what you think of it, but we get so much bad news. It's fun to see something cute.
Yes, I would agree with that.
And I think a lot, because I've known a lot of gay couples, male couples that have been together a long, long time, and I've seen lesbians break up really fast. I mean, they fall in love real fast, but I've seen them at each other's throats and pulling knives on each other too. And I think part of it probably lesbians were always a little bit more palatable for society, for homophobic society, and gay men still have a tough time, but not as bad as it used to be. But when you and I were growing up, there's a lot of places you couldn't be out as a couple out in the public. Like you could be at the gay bar, holding hands and kissing and all that. But there was a lot of places, a lot of restaurants, you'd probably get thrown out. There'd be a lot of, gay hate crimes. And I think about even what happened to Matthew Shepard. That was not that long ago. That was just the late 90s when he got murdered in Montana, and honestly didn't do anything. He just was hanging out and got hate crime murdered, and so I think a lot of that urban myth that gay men are just not monogamous and are not meant to be long term is something that maybe I think maybe they just kind of stayed quieter in the closet and people didn't know they were together as long as they were. And so maybe some of that urban myth, whereas, your flannel wearing aunt and her best friend living together, we just assumed that, we didn't know that they were a couple, and that were, it was one of those things I think because of old school stuff, just kind of turned into a just an assumed thing. But I think it is kind of funny. It is kind of cute to poke at things that are false narratives or tropes or whatever you want to call it, and to have the reality that love is love and we're all one human family. And we can still laugh about some of the silliness about our community, because I've heard people in our community say stuff like that. And, and maybe gay guys aren't good at math. I don't know. But anyway, but it is fun. And I like it when our community has a little bit of a sense of humor too. And has a little bit of fun, because we always have so much tough news.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
Yeah, it's so many of our functions are talking about how to fight back or whatever, so it's a little bit more fun. Going into our last segment, our good friend George Santos got some more bad news this week. Not only did he, in the last quarter, July through September, have to refund over $35,000 demanded from his donors, which was a record low fundraising for him. He actually only got $1,704 of new donations at the same time, which is also a record low for him. And he's in trouble because, in a few months, he's going to be back into election season if he's not in prison. But he got some really, really bad news this week, and he financially he is finding out
he doesn't even have enough money, and it's terrible to say this, but it's true, for a sitting congressperson to not have at least raised $500,000 is unheard of. because every PAC gives to at least a sitting congressperson. They give to every single congressperson. So he doesn't even have money. He doesn't have enough money at this point to even send out postcards.
No, he didn't have enough money to send postcards to everybody who voted for him in his district race.
Exactly. I don't know how he's paying his treasurer. I mean,
not so sure that should be paid.
yeah. And so, yeah, that is really, really telling, like you said, that he has. But in a way, it's good. It's good that donors are saying, "I'm not going to give him,
with the fact
anything." I'm curious who gave him money.
I mean, it wasn't much.
Yeah.
And the fact that he also had to refund $35,000.
Yeah.
During that same time period,
Mm-hmm.
He's in the hole for that quarter.
Yeah.
He came out, a negative about $33,000, and you have to wonder. The guy's been controversial since he got elected.
Yeah.
And also too, I mean, this is shame on the Republicans, but also it's really shame on the Democrats. This stuff was not hard to find. And whoever ran against him was an idiot. I'm just going to say they shouldn't run again, because their campaign should have done more due diligence on this guy that just also popped out of nowhere. Had a kind of a shady looking resume.
Yeah.
It wasn't that hard for the newspapers to kind of peel this back.
Yeah.
Granted, after the election, but it's one of those things where you're going, God, if they just would have done the minimal amount of legwork, and done their jobs and investigative reporting, they should bet somebody that comes out of nowhere. I mean, nobody's ever heard of this guy. And also, he's popping up and he's saying this, and saying that, and
that's a good. You know what, Jenny? You made a good point. You made an excellent point. I completely agree with you, because he had never held office before. That's one thing. So usually, if someone's held office, you assume someone else has vetted him, or at least done back opposition research, research on him. So you don't have to do as much because you figure the person before you did it already. Secondly, the claims that he was making were so outlandish. Even for a gay person, they were very, very outlandish. Yeah. He ran against a gay Democrat. So even the gay Democrat should have had some type of bullshit radar or budar and said, "All right, there's something crazy about this queen." You know what I mean? And so I agree with you. So that makes you second guess this person who ran. I want to know about your ability to catch baloney.
Well, and like the Charlotte Observer has been really good at sometimes of really looking into people, and we've seen some of our local candidates get called out so much so that some of them won't run again.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to name any names, but they know who they are.
Yeah,
but the just a little bit of Googling would have figured out that George Santos / Katara / DeVolder, whatever name of the week to protect the guilty, that should have just been like the Democrat Party. If they just would have hired a basic private investigator and said, we need a rap sheet on this guy. We need to know if is he really Brazilian? Is he this? Is he that?
Exactly.
And just do a 72-hour background check on this guy. And I think they would have found out. This would have devastated. He didn't win by much.
Yeah, if they had ran a Lexus on him, when I ran for office, Jenny, when I ran for office, the reporter at that time for the Charlotte Observer, the first thing they ask you before they even talk to you is they want to know your date of birth. They want to know your full name, your date of birth. They don't ask for your social security number or anything like that because they're doing a background check on you. And when we first got that request, I was like, well, that's none of your damn business. I was kind of like offended, but then I was like, okay, well, this is something they do to everyone because
Yeah.
they want to run, they want to run background stuff and whatever. And then I thought, well, that's ageism. That's discriminating against age. Well, no, no, no. There's a reason why they do that. Besides, my date of birth was already public information. You just had to go to the I have to sign papers and look at my driver's license. So it really was a lazy reporter. He's retired, so I can say this. It was a lazy reporter's way of me doing his own investigation. And so,
and honestly, if I was a Democrat running for office and my Republican opponent, I would take campaign money, hire a private investigator. I would want to know who I'm running against, especially if it's not a well-known candidate. Or a first-time candidate like Santos is. I'd want to know who he's competing against, and I'd want to know if it's I want to know,
especially if it's that close. If it's a flip seat.
And yeah, that's a purple seat. That's not clearly Republican or clearly Democrat. It's it's a New York City district, and quite frankly, Democrats typically are successful in most of the parts of New York City. And for whatever reason, they just, I guess he was lazy or his campaign manager was lazy or however that shook out. But because, this stuff started coming out days after Santos won. Journalists were kind of going, who is the Santos guy? Maybe we should look into it a little bit more now that he won. But, again, this is one of those things, just like our local idiot that flipped in the House and some of these other deals, is that Republicans are really covering their tracks and are really doing sneaky tactics out of desperation because it's harder and harder for them to win, especially in metropolitan. We've got to be aware they're doing that. We need to do better as a party. We need to be more aggressive. We need to be more proactive, but we need to make decisions based on, hey, but I do find it funny. I do find it that market forces are putting him in his place.
Exactly. The free markets are. Hey, do you know who he was sitting with during the election, the voting for Jim Jordan?
No, I have no idea.
He was one seat away from Boebert. And then next to Boebert was Matt Gaetz. So there's a picture of him and Boebert waving at a camera person. They were just being silly, stupid,
Well, the good thing is, hook or crook, they're going to get voted out in about a year. So
exactly.
This will be their last term in Congress, both of them.
Yep.
But we have run slightly over, and we've covered all 6 subjects, and we're going to dance our way out, and we will see you next week. Bye, boo.
Bye, boo.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching Two Chris in a Truck, and happy Halloween, which is the gay Christmas. And hope you all have a great, safe trick-or-treating. Have a great week. Bye, boo.